Welcome everyone to In Your Best Interest, an ALM First podcast, a show that explores common depository challenges, giving you an insider's view of the latest market trends and sharing stories and insights from industry leaders. I'm your host, Mike Ensweiler. The African American Credit Union Coalition, also known as the AACUC, has been a pioneering force in the credit union movement since 1999, working tirelessly to increase diversity in the industry, expand financial inclusion, and create lasting positive impacts in the communities across the globe. Through initiatives like their Commitment to Change program and international partnerships, AACUC continues to shape the future of cooperative finance while building bridges between communities. Today, I'm joined by an exceptional panel of leaders who are driving transformative change through AACUC's Future Fund. These include Renee Sadie-White, the President and CEO of the AACUC, Bill Cheney, President and CEO of Schools First Federal Credit Union and the Honorary Chair of the AACUC Future Fund, Ty Muse, President and CEO of Visions Federal Credit Union and also the Chair of the AACUC Future Fund, and Emily Hollis, CEO of ALM First. Today we'll explore the vision behind the Future Fund, discuss its key pillars for creating lasting impact, and learn how credit unions can get involved in this important initiative.
Well, I'm honored to have Renee, Emily, Ty, and Bill with me today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hello. Good to see everyone.
Yeah, great to see everyone.
All right. Well, let's dig right in, and let's start with Renee. I'm going to start with you, Renee, and ask you a question. And for the audience, tell us a little bit about the role of the AACUC in the credit union movement.
Oh my gosh, thank you for asking me. And Mike, thank you for having us on here. I'm so excited.
Me too.
Oh my God, I am not a political person at all. And I had the opportunity to go to the Congressional Black Caucus swearing in, courtesy of America's Credit Unions. Jim and Carrie asked me to go, and I loved it. And when I was there, I got re-excited and just excited about the credit union industry. What I saw this group doing, being responsible for, and listening to their message and their mission, I'm like, they're just like AACUC. So I feel like AACUC is the heart and soul of our industry. I like to think that we kind of keep everybody on their toes, but we're hopeful. So that's what I think. That's what I think our place is to really show people that everybody belongs, and let's keep the mission of people helping people at the front of everything we do.
And so, which is really exciting. And how do you see the AACUC changing over time?
Wow, over the years, we've had so many things happen, right? But I think most of it is because we try to have everybody involved with what we're doing. We want the whole industry to be part of reminding ourselves that we want everybody to have financial inclusion. We want everybody to have a good life. So AACC started off very, very small. I like to say that we were a CUNA baby because we started at the Governmental Affairs Conference, the GAC, and a group of people meeting to make sure that the voices of African Americans and people of African descent are heard in the credit union industry. So I think what has changed is no longer are people scared or skeptical of AACUC because they now understand that we're probably one of the most inclusive organizations in the credit union ecosystem. At least that's what Lucy Ito used to say, and I love quoting her about that. And so I think that's what's happened. We've moved to be the organization that's not just Black centric, but now just people centric because everybody matters.
Yeah, especially these days, that's more important than ever, and that's really exciting. Ty, I'm gonna, as the Future Fund chair, we've had a previous podcast where we talked about the Future Fund a little bit and charitable donation accounts and those kinds of things. So from your seat in the stadium, why did the AACUC launch the Future Fund, and why now?
Yeah, for me it was pretty clear it was a need. When I first joined AACUC on the board, it was the previous leaders there, the Maurices of the world, whispered in my ear, hey, Ty, we need a plan that's going to be a little bit more sustainable. So one of the things you got to remember about AACUC, we live directly on our membership, corporate partnerships, and donations. Well, what happens when the world gets tight, recession happens, those things all immediately decline. They're the first line items we all start cutting. But the mission doesn't go away, the cause doesn't go away. So it became a mandate that we needed to find a way to create a more sustainable future for this organization that was having a fantastic impact. I mean, just think about the murder of George Floyd. Who was the voice that was there that was helping so many of our credit unions figure out the right tone, the right tenor, the right words to voice as a people collectively? And just thinking about that resource, and that's not even dealing with all the other pillars. All those pillars are still there, all those needs are still there, but yet the dollars seem to go away because, as Bill and I are running our credit unions, trust me, they were definitely, the last 5 years have been tough years. And even though the need's there, sometimes you start cutting the other things. If we could find a way to effectively fund an organization that's doing good, they can rely not just on those donations, but have other means. That was really the goal, a way to create sustainability.
So, Bill, how long have you been an AACUC supporter?
Wow, Mike, thank you, first of all, for having me, and great to be with this great group of leaders. A long time. I long ago was the CEO of Xerox Federal Credit Union, and we worked with AACUC's internship program, and what a fantastic way to build, first of all, to bring new ideas into your organization, but also to help build future leaders of the credit union movement. So that was early on. More recently here at Schools First, we've been active supporters. Our team helped to be founding members and leaders of the West Coast chapter of AACUC. Kevin Martin, who's one of our EVPs, led that. Now Ashley Franklin, who's one of our key vice presidents in our branches, is part of that leadership. And so we're so pleased to be involved in AACUC and specifically with this Future Fund. My board of directors was supportive of us working early with Ty and Renee and others to help and with ALM First to help set that up. And Ty said it. I mean, you need a sustainable source of funding. You can't start at zero every year when you're trying to run an organization. You need something that you can count on for the future. And we're really excited about this and certainly encourage others to take a look at supporting this fine organization over the long term.
You mentioned key pillars. Can you talk, Ty, Renee, anyone, can you talk a little bit more about what are the key pillars or the programmatic areas of the Future Fund?
Renee, I'll start on this, but I'll let you put your magic on it. I mean, because a lot of this is, in her head, and she built it and it's refined, and now, we have the words behind it. But, the four focuses that I can best speak to are, internships and leadership development as you think about all these different next talent. If you want to ensure diverse groups of individuals are coming up through the CU world, you have to make sure we're developing them and creating these opportunities for them. Small credit union sustainability. Look, end of the day, there's a story. One of the things I've always been disappointed in as an outsider in is how I feel like credit union space has been divided: big credit union, small credit union. Look, we were every large credit union was once a small credit union. So to me, I think there's an importance to not lose focus on supporting those initiatives and making sure they have the infrastructure and tools to help them be successful. And that's, I would say the second pillar. The third pillar is, empowering financial cooperatives in Africa. I haven't had as much direct experience with that, but obviously Renee and Bill can speak specifically to those visits. And, there's a lot to be learned about how banking is done there, as well as the cooperative nature. And it's really at the core and the spirit of what we do. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And then the final pillar is really wealth building and community impact. At the end of the day, we want to make our community stronger. We want to make our individuals within our community stronger. And without education and tools and resources, speaking in languages, speaking in a way that's familiar to each of the communities that we're in, they're not going to receive it. So that's really the four pillars as Renee's outlined them in my term on the board and my connection to AACUC. But I don't know if Bill or Renee want to speak a little bit more about the travels to Africa and the lessons learned there from being abroad, et cetera.
Well, Mike,
Yes,
I don't have anything to add to what Ty said. He did a great job, but I really would love to hear what Bill has to say about Kenya.
Yeah, well, we were part of my wife Christy and I were part of a AACUC delegation that went to Kenya last year, I guess it is now, Renee.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
and it's an amazing experience. It was not our first trip to Kenya or our first interaction with AACUC, which is the Continental Confederation of Credit Unions in Africa. You know, we have our America's credit unions here for our nation, but AACUC is the continent of Africa. So think about all the African nations and the impact that they have on people's lives. I've said for a long time, when you travel um, with the World Council or with AACUC overseas and visit credit unions, you learn so much. And it's really like being in a time machine in some respects, because sometimes you're traveling sort of back in times in terms of credit union development. Sometimes you're traveling into the future in terms of credit union development. And you can see some of the and experience what credit unions must have been like in the U.S. a long time ago, because they're young, they're small, some are struggling, some are thriving, and but the impact, not only is Africa the largest continent in the world, it's the youngest continent in the world, and this is our future of our global economy and our global workforce. And credit unions are essential. One of the most impactful things Renee and I got to do while we were in Africa was meet with the president of Kenya, William Ruto, no relation, but he specifically has highlighted and emphasized the power of cooperatives in Kenya. So not just credit unions, but the cooperative movement. And George Mbado, who is the executive director of AACUC, was there, and David Mategwa, who is involved with the Africa Cooperative Development Foundation, as well as with their corporate network, for lack of a better term, Emily, on the continent of Africa. He's very involved with that, especially in Kenya. Just to be there to talk about the importance of financial cooperatives, financial empowerment, financial inclusion with the leader of the nation and the cabinet minister for cooperatives. Renee played an essential role in that, talking about AACUC and about how AACUC is going to support African cooperative development. Just amazing. And so I'm glad to hear and know that that's one of the key pillars for AACUC, because it certainly is something that I've been dedicated to for a long time, and understanding that our responsibility to support cooperatives is not just in the United States of America. We should be supporting that globally, and it helps us all.
That's really cool. And that's, I think, one of the exciting things about this fund. And so just to pivot to that cooperative idea for a minute, and for those who may not be familiar, Emily, can you tell us a little bit about what is a charitable donation account, or a CDA, and what are the benefits of a CDA?
Sure. Thank you, Mike. But first of all, I got to say, too, I am so honored to be with this group. And Mike, I'm really glad you started with Renee, because, man, Renee, your excitement is so contagious. It's awesome. And I wish the listeners could see your smile. I mean, it's from ear to ear. It's amazing. But anyway, I'm so honored to be with this group. So yes, a charitable donation account it's an investment account that credit unions can participate in, where they support their donations to charities like the AACUC, which is a 501c3. And the credit unions can use the CDAs for opportunities to fund charitable contributions through investment returns. And as Bill said before, it's so much easier this way for organizations to have an investment vehicle that provides returns to them, rather than trying to generate donations every year. So this is what is great about this fund in particular. But back to the CDA, when credit unions come together with vehicles like the CDA fund, it really can make a real difference. And that's what's so exciting about this situation.
Well, and I'm sure for Renee in the AACUC, it gives you some as we talked a little bit about, some predictable funding every year versus, all right, how are we going to be able to support these pillars and do this work, where you're in constant fundraising mode. So, Renee, overall, what kind of impact are you trying to create with the fund? We've talked about the pillars, but talk a little bit about the impact.
Well, the Future Fund is a truly transformative funding source for AACC, and with that, like you said, not having to, the guys saying, not starting at ground zero every year, not depending on the personality types of CEOs and boards, just making sure that everything is going well. I think that we'll be able to scale. We've got great programs, and I've piloted so many different programs, but the ones that have stuck are good, but we need the resources to scale up, to reach more people. And so while I'm proud of all our programs, this gives us the opportunity to reach more people, to get deeper in the communities, to help credit unions with more programs that can help their communities, and also leadership opportunities for credit unions who outside of their credit unions. So, sometimes in credit unions, there's nowhere to go because the space is already filled. Well, at AACC as a volunteer, I have a part of the corporate partners. Sometimes we'll do a job share, or maybe they will, like one of my chief diversity officer comes from CQ of North Carolina, Emma Hayes. So part of what their contribution is as a Determined Circle partner is her and her expertise as chief diversity officer, and a pretty large, significant donation. So that type of thing, scaling up from our programs, is the impact I think we're going to have. You'll also notice at our events, we have a lot of young people. So just like Lucy Ito said about being diverse, we're probably the organization that is, at least at our conferences, who gets the most young people to come. Now, part of that might be because I offer a little service called child care, so that might be it. But I'm just saying, it gives the people an opportunity. The other thing that I'm really proud about is that at AACUC, we really lift up the young people. We want the young professionals to be seen and to be heard. I remember being a young woman when I first started with AACUC, a younger woman, 20 years younger anyway, and from that standpoint, and I call them the leaders, the legends, the AACC legends, the board of directors. They were phenomenal people, and they gave me a seat at their table and took me everywhere they went. So I was treated as if, like nepotism, like I'm family, so it's just a great thing. So I think the impact that I'm hoping that we have is that people's lives are changed for the better. I am a possibility of people serving other people passionately. And so everything I do is tied into that. And that passion, along with people helping people, keeps me up at night, making sure we're doing the right things. So my overall, what I'd like to see is that we're helping to push our credit union system to do the right things for the right reasons.
And I love that. And let's build on that theme. So we want to do the right things for the right reasons. We've created a fund. You're getting some additional funding. So Ty or Bill, can you tell us a little bit about the management and the oversight of this fund?
Yeah, Bill, I'll take the first part on that. So first, as we, alluded to earlier, having great partners such as Emily and her firm and what they've been able to build, we have one of the larger donations that go through the CDA, and effectively that's going to be the major anchor, the beginning of the investments that we hold. ALM manages it, reports on it, reports to our committee and board that we have specifically focused on it as oversight to watch the returns. And there's a lot of direction there, but with 30 years of history and what Emily's built, we feel pretty good about the first part. But then we also realize not everyone's in the same position, to make the larger donations. So we also have the other portion of our partnership that we've tied up with the National Co-op Bank to effectively allow us to purchase certificates and usually strong returns, and then we can allocate a portion of those dollars of the return back to AACUC. So part of it can be up to 100% of the earnings you can make, 50%, 75%, whatever that threshold may be. So it's a way to partake and participate without having to give up all those dollars, but just imagine if every credit union could just buy one certificate and allocate a portion of those funds to the AACUC. That would be impactful. That would allow us to build a war chest, a reserve, to do all the great work that we're trying to do. So those two lines are really the best two ways to participate right away within the organization, and I think that's what's really critical. And again, all those returns are reported and monitored. We have a team accounting reports that basically takes the dollars, watches the dollars, reconciles the dollars, and then we, through distributions, figure out which directives that we're then allocating to AACUC to effectively run the organization and meet all those needs and pillars that we talked about earlier. So for me, it's a very win-win situation, and no matter what your position is, you can easily say, okay, I may not be able to give you the $100,000, but I can get a certificate for $100,000 and allocate the income to it and have an impact, and actually a very, very important impact. So regardless of the size, you have a way to have a very measurable impact. So sometimes it's hard when I hear a no. I'm like, really? You're really going to say no to this? But but I do understand, like, we're all dealing with our own things, but when you really think it through that way, yeah, you have the ability to give. You have the ability to have an impact. And let's not wait for another incident. Let's go ahead and be prepared. Let's go ahead and put ourselves in a position that we're already prepared and preparing our staff, our people. Let's not wait for just another major tragedy to kind of galvanize the country again. Let's not walk away from certain acronyms, because when you say those letters individually, they're equally as important today as they were yesterday. So I think this is how you can give, this is how you can give back, and this is how, as an industry, we can win together and ensure that we have all the talent in the world, because we have the resources to train and develop them, and also keep looking after our small credit unions.
Yeah, very well said, Ty. I mean, we're at Schools First, we're very excited about the long-term impact. We're involved on the investment side. We have a history with ALM First, and certainly comfortable, Emily and Mike, with your team. Our CFO and our treasury team did their due diligence on what we're investing in here. But to share those long-term returns, we support AACUC in other ways too. But we know that this is going to be there for the long term, and we can build it as we grow over time, and as AACUC grows and addresses, some really important issues that impact not just our credit union, but credit unions all over the country, and as we talked about earlier, around the world. Excited to be a part of it.
Emily, both Ty and Bill mentioned ALM First involvement. Can you share a little bit about how ALM First is supporting the Future Fund?
Yes, absolutely. And Bill, Ty, Renee, thank you so much for the compliments. Again, this is so exciting for us too. I think that this is making such a difference in the credit union industry. But yes, as management of the fund, we are building a diversified portfolio of fixed income securities. We are staying in investment grade credit. So we're not dropping down in credit, but staying investment grade. And sectors would include mortgage-backed securities, corporate debt, and asset-backed securities. Now, to mitigate interest rate risk and to also attract some additional spread, we are employing interest rate derivatives to help target the effective duration of the fund. And so these are all how we're managing the portfolio, and we've got an excellent team to do this role.
So we're managing the dollars essentially. We're helping to give a pretty big portion of that return back to the AACUC, and then the investors get some portion of that return back to themselves, so they do have an earning asset on the books. And then Ty and Bill and others are providing kind of the management and the oversight of those funds to make sure they're spent on the pillars and what their intended purpose is. Did I summarize that correctly?
Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Good. Well, our time is coming to a close. So, I know both Ty and Bill mentioned, the impact, and it's really exciting. And I agree. Renee's, enthusiasm is contagious. So I'm going to throw this out to the group, kind of for your closing thoughts, as well as how can interested credit unions get involved now? How can they help support the great work that's going on here? And maybe we just do a little bit of around the horn, and we'll start with you, Renee.
Well, the first thing is you can go to the AACUC Impact website at aacuc.org / Future Fund. But I have to say this, Mike, so thank you, one, for giving us this platform, but I want to say publicly to Emily, Bill, and Ty, I can't thank you enough. And Jason, I can't thank you enough. Emily, when we came to you, you were like, yes, let's do it. When I came to Ty, I said, Ty, I've selected you because you've got a great background in finance, and if you're the chair, no one's going to question me. And then my hero, Bill Cheney, oh my God. I'm just thrilled. So thank you.
My gosh, thank you, Renee. Please go to the website, check it out. We all make investments. This is another investment, large or small, as Ty said. It can be a CD through the National Cooperative Bank. It can be an investment vehicle through ALM First. Share those returns with AACUC. You will see the impact. It's a very transparent and inclusive organization, no secrets. And so Renee can show you, and they document on their website and in their amazing meetings and seminars and webinars that they have, the change that is happening and the impact that they're making. So please take a look and join us at Schools First in supporting AACUC.
Yeah,
Ty, some closing thoughts?
Yeah, my closing thoughts is, as the former CFO of the group, before becoming a CEO, sometimes you look at things straight as a dollars and cents thing. From the CEO standpoint, this is an investment, right? This is an investment in the things that make us special. This is an investment in the credit union movement that makes us different. This is one more thing that separates us from specifically the banking institutions, how we give and how we support the collective at all times. And so when you're thinking about this, I know you're all looking at your bottom lines, thinking about how can you afford it, but I'm going to say it the other way around. How do you not afford it? How do we not afford to invest in the future of our industry? How do we not afford to invest in the bench that we have coming up? And then leverage the tools. After you make that investment, start leveraging the tools that AACUC has. For me, I try my best to hop on as many webinars that we provide on education as one of the leaders on the board, but also as a participant. I've gone to certain conferences, but, the topics, they're a wide variety of things, and they're all things that we actually are thinking about, but maybe we just don't have the resource, talent, or bandwidth to address, and at least this will give you a head start. So I think there's a way to get an investment in a different way to measure your return, and that's what I'm just asking you to consider.
That's great. Emily, closing thoughts.
Okay, closing thoughts. Yeah, yes, Renee, thanks for the compliment. And I was really so excited. But I have to tell you, then I passed it to my team and they did all the work. So I really have to thank Jason Haley for getting this up and running because he's our chief investment officer. And let me tell you, I think the challenge was really working with the attorneys to get the fund up and running. So that was the real challenge. But in any event, closing thoughts, participate in the fund. I mean, AACU is doing fabulous things, and as little or as much as you want, having a fund like this, I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge amount. Just participating and testing it out and see how it works is, I think, really, really thrilling for the industry.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing your time today, and I really hope that your efforts continue to make a difference, and look forward to seeing those impact reports. And again, for any information on how you can become involved in the AACUC or in the Future Fund, go to the AACUC website. And of course, you can always reach out to Renee or Jason Haley at any time, and they can answer any or most of your questions. So thanks, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this powerful discussion about the African American Credit Union Coalition Future Fund. Some of the key takeaways for me from this conversation are, one, that the Future Fund represents a transformative opportunity to ensure AACUC's long-term sustainability through smart investment strategies, and that all credit unions can support this vital mission through vehicles like the charitable donation accounts and certificates of deposit. I appreciate you listening. At the end of each episode, I like to take a moment and let you know more about the resources we have available. ALM First has a robust workshop, conference, and webinar schedule, so be sure to visit our website for more details on these, as well as our Education Hub and Resource Center for pre-recorded webinars, articles, and more. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you for listening to In Your Best Interest, an ALM First podcast.
The content in this podcast is provided for informational purposes and should not be relied upon as recommendations or financial planning advice. We encourage you to seek personalized advice from qualified professionals regarding all investment decisions. Current and future holdings are subject to risk, and past performance is no guarantee of future results. Podcasts should not be copied, distributed, published, or reproduced in whole or in part. Information presented herein is for discussion and illustrative purposes only and is not a recommendation or an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any securities. The views and opinions expressed by the ALM First Financial Advisor speakers are their own as of the date of the recording. Any such views are subject to change at any time based upon market or other conditions, and ALM First Financial Advisors disclaims any responsibility to update such views. These views should not be relied on as investment advice, and because investment decisions are based on numerous factors, may not be relied on as an indication of trading intent on behalf of any ALM First Financial Advisors product. Neither ALM First Financial Advisors nor the speaker can be held responsible for any direct or incidental loss incurred by applying any of the information offered. ALM First Financial Advisors is an SEC-registered investment advisor with a fiduciary duty that requires it to act in the best interest of clients and to place the interests of clients before its own. However, registration as an investment advisor does not imply any level of skill or training.